A new hope. The stars stretched into infinite lines as Captain Lena Solaris pushed her small ship, the Hephaestus, to its limits. The urgent message from High Command still rang in her ears. Humanity was losing the war badly. The ruthless Zorgan Empire was pressing in on all sides, conquering and devastating world after world. Lena glanced around at her small crew working diligently at their stations on the cramped bridge. They were all that remained of the once proud 15th Human Expeditionary Fleet, the best fighters and minds she could pull together from the tattered remnants of their forces. To call them underdogs would be a major understatement. "Captain, I'm getting some unusual readings on long-range sensors," Kai, her science officer, reported, brow furrowed as he focused on his displays. "There's some sort of anomalous energy signature in Sector 11. Lena brought up the reading on her own screen, eyes scanning the data. "That's strange. Sector 11 is uncharted space. Can you get any clearer resolution on it?" Kai shook his head, frustration clear. "Interference is too heavy." But he double-checked his readings. It almost looks like an old Yaris-type warp signature. That got Lena's full attention. Yaris-type, that's impossible. Those haven't been used in decades, not since the early stages of the war. Kai finished her thought. "All right, people, I know we're all exhausted, but this needs investigating. Helmsman, plot a course for Sector 11. Best speed. Let's see what impossibility is waiting for us out there." Lena felt a renewed sense of energy. For the first time in a long time, it felt like they had a lead on something. Anything that could help turn this unwinnable war around. As the Hephaestus banked towards the new heading, a shimmering apparition appeared on the bridge. Cygnus, the ship's eye. He took the form of a wizened old professor, complete with antiquated spectacles and a dusty tweed jacket. A affectation, surely, but one the crew found endearing. "Captain, if I may, a Yaris signature could be indicative of pre-dissolution era technology." The AI clasped his translucent hands together, as if collecting his thoughts from a vast archive. There were projects and ships from that time that were never fully accounted for after the government fractured. Mara, the communications officer, spoke up, her voice tinged with a mix of disbelief and burgeoning hope. "You don't mean the Valiant? I thought that was just a legend they told cadets at the Academy for inspiration." "All legends hold a grain of truth," Cygnus replied sagely. "The Valiant was humanity's moonshot, so to speak, a dreadnought built to be a peacekeeper, but endowed with technology beyond anything we had. Alien technology. And she disappeared without a trace before the war began in earnest." Lena finished, the gears turning rapidly in her mind, taking all her advancements with her into myth. Kai looked up from his screen. Until possibly now. What if the interference in Sector 11 is hiding something that doesn't want to be found? "Then we're damn well going to find it," Lena said with grim determination. "If there's even a chance." She didn't finish the thought out loud, but it hung in the recycled air of the bridge all the same. If there was even a chance that the legendary lost Dreadnought was out there, waiting to be found, it could change everything. She just hoped they weren't chasing a ghost. Humanity was already fighting against the very real and very deadly Zorgan war machine. They couldn't afford to waste time on myths and legends. But as the Hephaestus sailed on through the stars towards Sector 11, and whatever answers lay shrouded there, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, they were on the precipice of something momentous, something that could reshape the destiny of humanity and the galaxy at large. As she watched the streaking starlight outside the viewports, Lena whispered a fervent, desperate prayer under her breath. "Oran's light, let it be real. Let us find the power we need to hope again. Let the Valiant still fly, so we can all soar again." The stars gave no answer back, their ancient light cold and distant, but Lena held on to hope all the same as they raced on into the unknown, chasing a legend that just might be their salvation. The Hephaestus and her crew, perhaps the last real torchbearers of the human spirit in a galaxy that wanted to snuff them out, sailed on into the endless black. Let me know if this direction works for you, and if you'd like me to continue with Part 2. I'm happy to adjust anything as needed. I tried to introduce the main character and her crew, establish the dire state of the human-Zorgan war, and set up the hook of the lost Dreadnought, the Valiant, as a potential game-changer. Into the unknown. The Hephaestus ventured forth into the uncharted depths of Sector 11, a region of space infamous for its treacherous and bizarre stellar phenomena. Captain Lena Solaris stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the viewscreen displaying roiling nebulae and dense asteroid fields that seemed to shift and twist in impossible ways. "Steady as she goes, helmsman," Lena said, her voice calm and assured despite the palpable tension on the bridge. "Kai, keep scanning for that Yaris signature. It's our only lead." Kai, hunched over his sensor display, gave a curt nod. His fingers danced over the controls, adjusting and fine-tuning, trying to pierce the veil of interference that hung thick in this forsaken corner of the galaxy. The ship shuddered as a dense cluster of asteroids bounced off their shields. Mara, the communications officer, checked her readings. "Shields holding at 87%, Captain. But the interference is getting worse. It's like the very fabric of space is unstable here." Lena frowned, considering their options. Every delay, every hindrance, was time humanity couldn't afford to waste. The Zorgans wouldn't pause their relentless conquest for spatial anomalies. Cygnus, the ship's AI, shimmered into view, his projected form flickering in the bridge's tense atmosphere. "Captain, if I may postulate, the disturbances we're experiencing could be indicative of advanced spatial manipulation technology. Warping gravity, folding light. These were theoretical concepts the Valiant's builders were said to be experimenting with." Lena's heart raced at the implications, so we could be on the right track. The Valiant, or whoever built her, could have used this region as a hiding place. Speculation, of course, Cygnus admitted, but it fits the available data. The Hephaestus pushed on, threading a precarious path through the celestial labyrinth. Each member of the small crew was acutely aware of the stakes, of how much rode on this desperate gambit. Suddenly, Kai straightened at his station, eyes wide. "Captain, I've got a lock on the Yaris signature. It's massive. And close." Lena was about to order a course change when Mara's panicked voice cut in. "Captain, sensors are picking up multiple incoming ships. Unknown configuration. Definitely not friendly." On the view screen, a ragged fleet of mismatched ships dropped out of warp, weapons already charging. Pirates. Opportunistic vultures who preyed on the chaos of the war-torn galaxy. Raiders, Cygnus confirmed grimly. Scans indicate heavy armaments, likely an entire clan, using this anomalous region as a base of operations. Lena's mind raced, strategies and tactics whirling. They were outgunned and outnumbered, but they couldn't afford to be stopped now. Not with a hope as fragile and vital as the Valiant on the line. "Hail them, all frequencies," she ordered, standing tall in her captain's chair. Mara nodded, fingers flying over her console. "Channel open. Unknown vessels, this is Captain Lena Solaris of the Earth ship Hephaestus. We are on a mission of urgent importance, and mean you no trespass. Allow us to pass, and there need be no trouble between us." She projected all the authority and confidence she could muster into her voice. For a tense moment, there was only the hiss of an open channel. Then a guttural, mocking laughter filled the bridge. The main view screen shifted to show a scared, leering humanoid with cybernetic implants set into his craggy face. Bold words for a little lost ship. The pirate leader sneered. "But you've flown into Ravager territory, and we claim all salvage rights here. Stand down and prepare to be boarded. And maybe we'll let you live as our new slaves." Lena cut the channel with a sharp gesture. She had no intention of letting her or her crew end up as any pirate's playthings, but they were badly outmatched, and she knew it. "Cygnus, I need options. We can't outrun or outgun them, but we can't let them stop us either. There was steel in her voice, a determination that had seen her through countless battles before. The eye paused, his projection flickering as he ran through countless scenarios. There might be a way, Captain, but it will require split-second timing and no small amount of risk. Lena gave a wry smile. What's a little more risk at this point? Let's hear it. As Cygnus laid out his audacious plan, Lena felt a flicker of that old fire reignite in her chest. The odds were long, but when had that ever stopped humanity before? They would get through this, find the Valiant, and turn the tide of this war. She had to believe that. It was all she had left. All right, people, listen up. I know we're tired. I know we're hurting, but I need each and every one of you at your best right now. We're going to fly straight into the heart of this anomaly and show these pirates why you never come between a crew of humans and their mission. Trust in each other. Trust in this ship. We will see this through. A chorus of affirmations rang out from her small, fierce crew. In their eyes, Lena saw the same defiant spark, the refusal to bend or break before the uncaring cosmos and those who would dominate it. The Hephaestus surged forward, straight towards the mass of pirate ships and the swirling maelstrom of gravitational distortions beyond. Weapon fire lit up the void like angry stars, battering their shields. But Lena held her course, eyes narrowed, hands steady on the controls. At the last possible second, on Cygnus's mark, she wrenched the ship into a dizzying spin, fighting against the forces tearing at the hull. The pirates, too slow to react, too scattered to coordinate, plowed straight into the heart of the anomaly. Their ships twisted and warped, metal screaming as gravity waves tore them apart. And through the chaos flew the Hephaestus, riding the edge of the distortion, letting its pull slingshot them around and out the other side, Kai whooping in triumph as his sensors showed the pirate ships winking out one by one. Status. Lena barked, not daring to relax even as the anomaly receded behind them. We're clear, Captain. Mara reported, a fierce grin on her face. Pirates are gone, and sensors are clean. And the Yaris signature. Kai, still poring over his readings, looked up with an expression of pure awe. It's right in front of us. Lena turned back to the view screen, heart in her throat. The anomaly was parting like a veil drawing back, revealing a sight that stole the breath from her lungs. There, hanging in the void like a slumbering giant, was a ship unlike any Lena had ever seen. Massive and angular, it dwarfed the Hephaestus 100 times over. Its hull was a patchwork of human design melded with alien geometries, as if the very fabric of space had been bent to give it shape. And there, emblazoned on its prow in faded but unmistakable lettering, UNSC Valiant. They had found it. Against all odds, against all hope, they had found the lost Dreadnought, the key to humanity's salvation. My God, someone whispered in the stunned silence of the bridge. It's real. Lena felt a smile spread across her face, fierce and bright. Yes, it is. And it's ours. She turned to her crew, seeing the same wonder and determination reflected in their eyes. Let's go wake up our sleeping giant. We have a war to win. As the Hephaestus glided towards the Valiant's massive hull, ready to bring the legend back to life, Lena felt something kindle in her chest that she hadn't felt in a long, long time. Hope. A relic of power. The Hephaestus glided into the Valiant's massive docking bay, the smaller ship dwarfed by the sheer scale of the legendary Dreadnought. Captain Lena Solaris stood on the bridge, heart pounding with a mix of awe and trepidation as she took in the sight of the cavernous hangar, filled with the detritus of decades of neglect. Atmosphere reads as stable, Captain, Kai reported from his station. No signs of life or active security systems. Lena nodded, steeling herself. All right, people. We're going in. Kai, Mara with me. The rest of you, monitor our progress and be ready to bail us out if things go sideways. The three of them suited up, checking weapons and gear with practiced efficiency. They had no idea what they might find aboard the Valiant, but they had to be ready for anything. As the airlock cycled open, and they stepped out onto the deck, the sheer magnitude of their discovery hit Lena anew. The Valiant was a relic from a different age, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and determination. And now it could be their salvation. They moved through the ship's corridors, the only sound the hiss of their breath in their helmets and the clang of their boots on the metal deck. Emergency lighting flickered fitfully, casting eerie shadows across bulkheads etched with unfamiliar symbols. "I've never seen design work like this," Mara murmured, tracing a finger over a particularly intricate panel. "It's almost organic." "Alien influence, no doubt," Kai replied, eyes scanning the passageway ahead. "The rumors always said the Valiant was built using technology far beyond anything we had." Lena led them deeper into the ship, following the schematics Cygnus had pulled from the ancient databases. If the AI's information was correct, the Valiant's command center should be just ahead. But when they reached the massive blast doors, they found them sealed tight, unyielding to even their most advanced hacking tools. Lena was about to order them to try cutting through when a holographic figure flickered into existence before them. It was androgynous and eerily beautiful, with an angular face and eyes that seemed to hold the depths of the cosmos. When it spoke, its voice was a melodious thrum that seemed to resonate in their bones. "Welcome, representatives of humanity. I am Prometheus, the custodian intelligence of the Valiant." Lena stepped forward, heart racing. "I am Captain Lena Solaris of the Earth ship Hephaestus. We come in peace, seeking to understand the Valiant's history and purpose." The hologram inclined its head. "Your arrival has long been anticipated, Captain Solaris. The Valiant has slumbered for many cycles, waiting for the right time and the right crew. You have passed the first test by finding us. Now we shall see if you are worthy to wield the power we represent." With that cryptic statement, the blast doors groaned open, revealing a cavernous command center filled with technology that made their most advanced systems look like children's toys. Lena and her team advanced cautiously, marveling at the sight. In the center of the room, a massive holographic display burst into life, showing the Valiant in all its glory. Prometheus appeared beside it, gesturing towards the slowly rotating schematic. The Valiant was conceived as a symbol of unity and strength in a fractured galaxy, the AI explained. A fusion of human ingenuity and alien knowledge, designed to protect and to inspire. But there were those who feared its power, who saw it as a threat to their ambitions. And so, before its purpose could be fulfilled, the Valiant was betrayed, forced to flee into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a brighter future. Lena stared at the display, pieces falling into place in her mind. And now, with humanity on the brink of extinction, the Valiant has a chance to fulfill that purpose once more. Prometheus nodded. "Yes, Captain. But to do so will require more than just technological might. It will require a crew with the courage, the determination, and the unity of purpose to wield a power that could reshape the galaxy. Are you and your people ready for such a responsibility?" Lena looked at Kai and Mara, seeing the same resolve in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They had come so far, risked so much. They could not turn back now. "We're ready," she said, voice ringing with conviction. "We'll do whatever it takes to save our people and bring an end to this war." Prometheus smiled, and it was like the dawn breaking after an endless night. "Then let us begin. The Valiant has slept for too long. It is time for it to awaken, and for humanity to remember the strength that lies within." As the AI began to guide them through the process of bringing the mighty ship back to life, Lena felt a sense of destiny settling on her shoulders. This was what they had been fighting for all along, what they had sacrificed and bled for. A chance to turn the tide, to rewrite the ending of their story. And with the Valiant under their command, she knew they would not fail, could not fail. The future of humanity depended on it. As the first systems began to hum with power, as the ancient engines stirred to life, Lena raised her voice in a rallying cry that echoed through the ship's halls and out into the waiting stars. To all who can hear me, know this: the Valiant flies again, and with it, the indomitable spirit of humanity. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. And together, we will take back our rightful place among the stars. And in that moment, on the bridge of a legend reborn, everything seemed possible once more. Legacy of the Valiant. Captain Lena Solaris stood on the bridge of the Valiant, marveling at the transformation that had taken place. Where once there had been only darkness and silence, now there was light and the hum of power. The mighty ship was coming back to life, systems activating one by one under the watchful guidance of Prometheus. But even as hope swelled in her heart, Lena knew that their work was just beginning. They had found the Valiant, but unlocking its full potential would be another challenge entirely. She turned to the AI, who was busy directing the reactivation process. Prometheus, we need to know more about the Valiant's capabilities, its history. If we're going to have any chance of turning the tide of this war, we need to understand the ship we're commanding. Prometheus paused, its holographic form flickering thoughtfully. Of course, Captain. Please, come with me to the central data core. There is much you need to see. Lena followed the AI deeper into the ship, Kai and Mara flanking her. They passed through corridors that hummed with renewed energy, past chambers filled with technology that was at once alien and strangely familiar. When they reached the data core, Prometheus waved a hand, and the room came alive with holographic displays. Images, schematics, and streams of data swirled around them, painting a picture of the Valiant's past. The Valiant was humanity's most ambitious project. Prometheus began, its voice taking on a reverent tone. A ship that would embody all of our knowledge, all of our aspirations. It was to be a beacon of hope in a troubled galaxy, a guardian of peace and a symbol of unity. Lena watched as the displays showed the Valiant's construction, human engineers and scientists working side by side with alien allies. It was a sight that stirred her soul, a reminder of what humanity could achieve when they put aside their differences and worked together. But the images soon turned darker, showing scenes of conflict and betrayal. Not everyone shared this vision. Prometheus continued. There were factions within humanity who saw the Valiant as a threat, a power too great to be trusted in anyone's hands. They sought to control it, to use it for their own agendas. Lena's heart sank as she watched the sabotage unfold, saw the Valiant forced to flee into the depths of space to prevent its technology from falling into the wrong hands. It was a story of hope betrayed, of a dream deferred. And so the Valiant vanished, fading into myth and legend. Prometheus said, a note of sorrow in its voice. Its existence was kept secret, even from most of humanity, as a precaution against those who would seek to misuse its power. Lena nodded, understanding dawning. Until now. Until we found it. Yes, Captain, Prometheus agreed. And now, the Valiant has a chance to fulfill its original purpose, to save humanity from the brink of extinction. But to do so, we must act quickly. The Zorgon threat grows by the day, and they will not rest until they have exterminated every last human. Lena felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders, but she stood tall under it. This was what she had been fighting for, what they had all been fighting for, a chance to make a difference, to save their people. Then we'll just have to make sure they don't get that chance, she said, steel in her voice. Prometheus, I need you to teach us everything about this ship, its weapons, its defenses, its capabilities. We have a crew of the best and brightest humanity has to offer. Together, we'll make sure the Valiant lives up to its name. The AI inclined its head, respect and approval shining in its eyes. I have no doubt of that, Captain. Let us begin. As Prometheus began to share the secrets of the Valiant, Lena felt a fire kindling in her heart. They had a long road ahead of them, and no doubt many battles to fight. But for the first time, in a long time, she allowed herself to believe that victory was possible. The Valiant had been built as a symbol of hope, a testament to the best of what humanity could be. And now, with its legacy in their hands, Lena vowed that they would not let that hope die. They would fight, they would endure, and they would remind the galaxy of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. For the sake of all those who had come before, for all those who would come after, they would make the Valiant's legacy one of triumph against all odds, a legacy that would echo through the stars for generations to come. To work, then, she said, turning to her crew with a fierce smile. We have a galaxy to save, and with the Valiant beneath them, and the fire of determination burning bright, they set about doing just that. Prometheus unbound. The Valiant hummed with newfound life as Lena and her crew worked tirelessly to bring the ship back to its full potential. Under Prometheus's guidance, they learned the intricacies of the advanced systems, the fusion of human and alien technology that made the Dreadnought unique. But the process was not without its challenges. The Valiant had been dormant for so long that many of its components required extensive repair and recalibration, and resources were scarce. The Hephaestus could only provide so much before its own supplies ran low. Tensions began to rise among the crew as the days stretched into weeks with little visible progress. They were all too aware of the war raging beyond the sanctuary of Sector 11, of the lives being lost while they struggled to bring the Valiant back to fighting strength. Renzo, the Hephaestus's pilot, was particularly vocal in his frustrations. "We're wasting time here," he argued during one heated meeting in the Valiant's war room. "While we're playing mechanics, the Zorgans are out there burning our worlds. We should be taking the fight to them, not hiding away like cowards." Lena felt her own frustration bubbling up, but she forced herself to remain calm. "And how do you propose we do that, Renzo? The Valiant is powerful, but it's not invincible. If we rush out there unprepared, we'll just be throwing away our one chance to make a difference." Others around the table murmured in agreement, but Lena could see the doubt in their eyes. They were all feeling the strain, the weight of expectation. They had pinned so much hope on the Valiant, but the reality of bringing a legend back to life was proving more difficult than any of them had imagined. Even Kai, usually the most level-headed of the group, was starting to show signs of strain. "Captain, I understand the need for caution," he said, his voice tight. "But Renzo has a point. Every day we spend here is another day the Zorgans have to tighten their grip. If we don't act soon, there may not be anything left to save." Lena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command pressing down on her. She knew they were right, knew that time was running out. But she also knew that one misstep, one hasty action, could doom them all. It was Prometheus who finally broke the impasse. The AI had been mostly silent during the meeting, observing the human dynamics with a curious eye. But now it spoke, its melodious voice cutting through the tension like a beam of light through fog. "If I may, Captain," it said, holographic form shimmering into view, "I believe I have a solution to our resource problem. There is a hidden cache of supplies left behind by the Valiant's original crew. It contains everything we need to complete the ship's repairs." Lena leaned forward, hope warring with caution in her heart. "Where is this cache, Prometheus? Why didn't you mention it before?" The AI spread its hands apologetically. "The cache location was compartmentalized, even within my own memory banks. It was a safeguard, in case the Valiant ever fell into enemy hands. I had only just now been able to fully access the information." It waved a hand, and a star map appeared above the table. A single point glowed red, pulsing softly. "The cache is here, in a hidden base on the fourth moon of Zathras Prime. It's remote and well-defended, but with the Hephaestus and the right plan, we should be able to retrieve the supplies without too much difficulty." Lena studied the map, mind racing. It was a risk, leaving the safety of Sector 11 even for a short while. But Prometheus was right. Without those supplies, they'd be stuck in a holding pattern, unable to move forward. She looked around at her crew, seeing the mix of hope and determination in their eyes. They were ready, she realized. Ready to take the next step, to start fighting back. "All right," she said, decision made. "We'll go for the cache. But we do it smart, and we do it fast. In and out before the Zorgans even know we were there. There were nods of agreement around the table, a new sense of purpose filling the room. They finally had a concrete goal, a way forward. As they began to plan the operation, Lena felt a touch on her shoulder. It was Prometheus, its holographic hand passing through her like a ghost. "You are doing well, Captain," the AI said softly. "Better than you know. The Valiant chose wisely when it chose you." Lena blinked, surprised by the sentiment. "I'm just trying to do what's right," she said, "to live up to the legacy of this ship." Prometheus smiled, and it was like starlight given form. "And that, Captain Solaris, is exactly why you will succeed. The Valiant is more than just a ship. It is an idea, a promise. And ideas are most powerful when they are believed in, fought for." The AI's words stayed with Lena as they prepared for the mission, as the Hephaestus and a small team from the Valiant set out for Zathras Prime. They were a reminder of what was at stake, of the hope they carried with them. They would retrieve the supplies. They would restore the Valiant to its full glory. And then, with Prometheus at their side, and the strength of human determination in their hearts, they would show the Zorgans, and the entire galaxy, what it meant to fight like a human. The stars streaked by outside the viewport, cold and distant. But Lena had never felt more certain, more aligned with her purpose. The Valiant's legacy was one of courage in the face of impossible odds, of light in the darkest of times. And she would ensure that legacy endured, no matter the cost. For the sake of her crew, her people, and the future they were fighting for, failure was not an option. The Valiant would fly again, a beacon of hope reborn, and the galaxy would tremble before its might. Fire of the Valiant. The journey to Zathras Prime was tense, each member of the crew acutely aware of the stakes. They were venturing back into contested space, risking detection by Zorgan patrols with every light year. But the promise of the supplies, of fully restoring the Valiant, made the risk worth it. Lena sat in the command chair, eyes fixed on the view screen, as the Hephaestus navigated the treacherous approach to the hidden base. Zathras Prime was a gas giant, its swirling storms providing the perfect cover for the secret facility nestled among its moons. "We're coming up on the coordinates," Kai reported from the navigation console. "Activating stealth systems. Now." The ship shuddered slightly as the advanced cloaking field engaged, rendering the Hephaestus all but invisible to sensors. It was a technology derived from the Valiant's own systems, one of the many gifts Prometheus had shared. They slipped past the outer perimeter, the base's defenses registering them as nothing more than a ghost on the edge of detection. Lena felt a flicker of hope in her chest. Maybe this would go smoothly after all. That hope was short-lived. As they approached the landing pad, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. On the view screen, a swarm of Zorgan fighters emerged from the shadows of the moon, weapons blazing. "It's a trap," Mara shouted from her station. "They must have been waiting for us." Lena cursed under her breath. She should have known it wouldn't be this easy. The Zorgans had been hunting them for too long, were too determined to crush humanity's last hope. "Evasive maneuvers," she ordered, gripping the arms of her chair as the Hephaestus swerved and dived. "Get us out of here." But the Zorgan ships were faster, more maneuverable. They harried the Hephaestus from all sides, wearing down its shields with relentless barrages of laser fire. On the bridge, consoles sparked and smoked as the ship's systems struggled to keep up with the damage. Lena's heart pounded in her ears, a counterpoint to the scream of overstressed engines. They weren't going to make it. The realization hit her like a physical blow. They had come so close, but the Zorgans had outplayed them. The Valiant, and with it humanity's last hope, would be lost. No, she refused to accept that. Not after everything they had been through, everything they had sacrificed. There had to be another way. "Kai, bring us in close to the base," she said, an idea forming in her mind. "Hug the surface, use the structures for cover." Kai looked at her like she was mad, but complied, his hands flying over the controls. The Hephaestus dived, skimming the surface of the moon so closely that its shield scraped against jutting spires of rock. The Zorgon ships pursued, but the tight confines worked against them, their greater numbers becoming a hindrance rather than an advantage. One by one, they crashed against the moon's surface, or fell victim to the Hephaestus's guns, unable to match the human ship's desperate, daring maneuvers. But it was a temporary reprieve at best. More Zorgon ships were surely on the way, and the Hephaestus was badly damaged. They needed a miracle. What they got was Prometheus. The AI's holographic form suddenly appeared on the bridge, its face a mask of calm determination. "Captain, I have analyzed the situation. There is a way, but it will require a significant risk." Lena didn't hesitate. "Whatever it takes, Prometheus. We're not giving up now." The AI nodded. "I can interface with the base's defense systems, turn them against the Zorgons. But to do so, I will need to transfer my core programming into the base's mainframe." Lena understood immediately. "If you do that, you'll be vulnerable. If the base is destroyed, I will be destroyed with it." "Yes." Prometheus's voice was steady, resolved. "But it is a risk I am willing to take, for the sake of the Valiant, and for humanity." There was no time for debate, no room for second-guessing. Lena met the AI's gaze, seeing in those holographic eyes the same determination that burned in her own heart. "Do it." Prometheus smiled, and then vanished in a flicker of light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the base's defenses roared to life. Missile batteries and laser cannons that had lain dormant for decades suddenly erupting with fire. The Zorgon ships, caught off guard, fell in droves, their formations scattering under the onslaught. It was a sight that brought a fierce, savage joy to Lena's heart. At last, they were the ones on the offensive. "Bring us into dock," she ordered, "and prepare the extraction team. We're getting those supplies and getting out." It was a mad dash, a desperate race against time. While Prometheus's gambit bought them a window, they all knew it wouldn't last forever. They loaded the supplies as quickly as they could, each crate a precious lifeline for the Valiant's restoration. As the last of the containers was secured, Lena turned to the base's main console, her heart heavy. "Prometheus, it's time. We have to go." There was a long pause, and for a terrible moment, Lena feared the worst. But then, the AI's voice sounded over the comm, strained but alive. "Go, Captain. I will hold them off as long as I can." Lena closed her eyes, a silent prayer on her lips. "Thank you, Prometheus, for everything. We won't forget this. It has been an honor, Captain Solaris. Now go, finish what we started. Make the Valiant the beacon of hope it was always meant to be." With a heavy heart, Lena and her team boarded the Hephaestus, the precious cargo secured. As they lifted off, the base erupted in a series of massive explosions, Prometheus's last defiant stand against the encroaching Zorgon forces. They watched from the viewport as the fires spread, consuming the base and the moon's surface. It was a bittersweet victory, tinged with the loss of a comrade, a friend. But as the Hephaestus set course back to the Valiant, it filled with the promise of renewal, Lena knew that Prometheus's sacrifice would not be in vain. They had the means now to complete the Valiant's restoration, to take the fight to the Zorgons and save what was left of humanity. The road ahead would not be easy. The risks and the costs would be high, but they would face it all together, united in purpose and resolve. For the sake of the fallen, for the sake of the future, they would not falter. The fire of the Valiant burned in them now, an unquenchable flame. And with it they would light the way to victory, no matter how dark the path might be. For all humanity, the return to the Valiant was a somber one, the loss of Prometheus weighing heavily on the crew. But there was no time for mourning, no space for grief. The supplies they had secured were the key to completing the Dreadnought's restoration, and every moment counted. Lena threw herself into the work, leading by example as they labored to integrate the new components and bring the Valiant systems to full power. It was a race against time, each repair and upgrade a step closer to the confrontation they all knew was coming. For the Zorgans would not rest. The attack on the supply base had been proof enough of that. They knew the threat the Valiant represented, and they would stop at nothing to eliminate it. Day and night, the crew toiled, fueled by a desperate, defiant determination. They were the last hope, the only thing standing between humanity and extinction. Failure was not an option. And slowly, surely, the Valiant came alive under their hands. Its engines roared with a power that shook the very fabric of space. Its weapons systems hummed with deadly potential. The Dreadnought, once a relic of a bygone age, was reborn as a marvel of human ingenuity and resolve. But even as they marveled at their handiwork, a grim reality settled over the crew. For all its might, the Valiant was still just one ship against an empire. They had the power now to strike back, but against the full might of the Zorgan armada, it would only be a matter of time before they were overwhelmed. They needed a plan, a way to even the odds. And it was Mara who found it, sifting through the Valiant's ancient databanks. "Captain, look at this," she said, her voice tight with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "It's a schematic for a weapon, something called the Quantum Cascade. According to the notes, it has the power to destabilize the very fabric of space-time." Lena studied the schematic, her heart racing. It was a weapon of terrifying power, the kind of thing that could turn the tide of a war, or destroy everything in its wake. "Can we build it?" Kai leaned over the console, his brow furrowed in thought. "It won't be easy. The design calls for materials we've never even seen before. But with the Valiant's fabrication systems, it might be possible." It was a gamble, a desperate roll of the dice. But Lena knew they had no choice. If they were going to have any chance of victory, they needed a miracle. And this, for better or worse, was the closest thing they had. The decision made, they set to work once more, pouring every ounce of skill and determination into the weapon's construction. It was a labor unlike any they had undertaken before, a dance on the edge of scientific possibility. But even as they raced to complete the Quantum Cascade, the Zorgans closed in. Their scouts had picked up the Valiant's energy signature, and now a massive fleet was bearing down on their position, an armada of destruction hell-bent on their annihilation. "They'll be in weapons range in less than a day," Kai reported grimly. "The Cascade isn't ready. We need more time." Lena closed her eyes, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. This was it, the point of no return. Every path led here, to this final, inevitable confrontation. "Then we'll give ourselves time," she said, her voice steady with a resolve she didn't quite feel. "We'll take the Valiant out to meet them, keep their focus on us, buy as much time as we can for the Cascade to be completed." It was a suicide mission, and they all knew it. Against the full might of the Zorgan fleet, the Valiant would be hard-pressed to survive. But there was no alternative. If the Zorgans reached the Cascade before it was ready, all would be lost. As the crew prepared for the battle to come, Lena found herself in the Valiant's cavernous hangar bay, staring up at the ship that had become their last hope. The Dreadnought seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a reflection of the indomitable human spirit that had brought it back from the brink. "Are you with me?" she whispered, resting a hand on the cool metal of the hull. "One last fight, for all the marbles, for Prometheus, for the lost, for all humanity." There was no response, of course. The Valiant was a ship, not a sentient being. And yet, as Lena turned to leave, she could have sworn she felt a thrum beneath her fingers, a promise and a challenge all in one. The battle, when it came, was chaos incarnate. The Valiant burst from the nebula like an avenging angel, its weapons blazing as it tore into the Zorgan formation. Lena was everywhere at once, directing the flow of battle even as she poured fire into the enemy ships. They fought with a ferocity that surprised even them, the culmination of all their hopes and fears, all their grief and rage. The Valiant danced through the Zorgan fire, its shield straining under the onslaught but holding, always holding. But it couldn't last. The Zorgans were too many, their ships too powerful. One by one, the Valiant's systems began to fail, its armor buckling under the relentless barrage. On the bridge, alarms screamed warning as consoles sparked and smoked. Lena gripped the command chair, her knuckles white, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Captain," Kai's voice, taut with urgency. "The Cascade. It's ready." Lena felt a surge of hope, tempered by grim understanding. The Cascade was their salvation, but it was also their doom. To use it was to unleash a power beyond reckoning, one that would consume them as surely as it would the Zorgans. But there was no choice. There had never been a choice. For the sake of all they had lost, all they still hoped to save, this was the only way. She opened a ship-wide channel, her voice steady as she addressed her crew one last time. "This is Captain Lena Solaris. It has been an honor serving with each and every one of you. Today, we face our final test. Today, we remind the galaxy of the courage and resilience of the human spirit. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for all those who came before and all those who will come after." She paused, feeling the weight of their gazes, the trust and determination that flowed back to her. "Whatever happens, know that your bravery, your sacrifice, will never be forgotten. We are the spark that will light the fire of humanity's resurgence. We are the Valiant, and we will not fail." As one, the crew responded, their voices joined in a final defiant cheer. For a moment, the battle faded away, and there was only this, the unity of purpose, the unbreakable bonds of comradeship. Then Lena turned to Kai, her face set in grim resolve. "Activate the Cascade." The ship shuddered as the weapon came online, the building whine of power that crescendoed into a searing, blinding light. Space itself seemed to warp and twist around them, the very laws of physics bending to the Cascade's inexorable will. And then, in a moment of perfect, terrible clarity, it fired. The effect was cataclysmic. A wave of quantum energy erupted from the Valiant, engulfing the Zorgan fleet in a maelstrom of destruction. Ships shattered like glass, their hulls twisting into impossible shapes as the Cascade tore them apart at the molecular level. But the Valiant was not spared. Caught at the epicenter of the blast, the Dreadnought buckled and heaved, its structure disintegrating even as it unleashed humanity's final vengeance. On the bridge, Lena closed her eyes, a strange sense of peace settling over her. They had done it. Against all odds, against all hope, they had won. The Zorgans were broken, their armada scattered to the cosmic winds. Humanity would survive, would rebuild. The sacrifices had not been in vain. As the light engulfed her, as the Valiant broke apart around her, Lena's last thought was one of pride, of gratitude. To have served with this crew, to have been a part of something so much greater than herself. It was all she could have asked for. The Valiant vanished in a final blinding flare, a star-going supernova in the void. But its legacy would endure, a beacon of hope and defiance that would inspire generations yet to come. For this was the human spirit, indomitable and unyielding. This was their stand, their declaration to the universe. They would not go quietly into the night. They were the Valiant, and they would be remembered. The end. This brings the story to its dramatic conclusion, with the Valiant and its brave crew making the ultimate sacrifice to destroy the Zorgan fleet and secure humanity's future. I aim to maintain the themes of courage, sacrifice, and the indomitable human spirit throughout. Let me know if you would like me to modify or expand on any part of the story. I hope you've enjoyed this HFY Sci-Fi adventure. Let me know if you have any other stories you'd like me to explore.